in your head you always have this idea of like how an interview is gonna go and how you're gonna answer questions and stuff like that. But now that I'm in it, I'm actually thinking to myself like, wow, I'm just gonna be on the spot and it's gonna be like, it's just gonna be like, it has to be like at my fingertips. But I'm cool. I'm happy. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for having us. All right.
Yeah.
So if you were to meet someone who's never met you before,
Yeah.
how would you introduce yourself? Or since you're going to be sharing this to a lot of people, how
Yeah.
would you want to showcase yourself to the world, let's say?
Okay. To be honest, first thing I'll tell them is that I am a creative, and that's something that's been with me since I was a little kid. And it's pretty much, well, first of all, obviously, my name is Michael Secure, aka Six the Law. Yeah, and I think I'd go into like just how I came up in, in the creative industry of sorts. Even though I'm not fully in it, I'm sort of doing my own thing right now, sort of independent. But pretty much started off, well, with regards to this project that's coming out in particular, you could say that my whole story started on campus because like my parents met at the University of St. Petersburg in Russia, and my Bali laid game. And after that, I happened there, and so it's always been, I have this relationship with school and art. It's always been something that's been together for me. Plus,
so you're Russian born?
Yes, Russian born. Yeah. Plus St. Petersburg, according to a Google search, it's apparently the art central of Russia. So I think like I have this predisposition. Maybe when I was a kid, who knows? Because my mom used to say like when she used to like wheel me around, she used to take me to see scenic views and whatnot. So maybe as a kid, maybe that actually got into my head, and that actually made me a creative person. So I could say it started off like there. That's where it started, and as I grew up, it's just I always had like an active imagination, I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do like creatively back then, but then I always knew that I wasn't afraid to try something new. So
that's what you're teaching. You meet someone you met before.
Yeah.
First thing you want them to know is you're creative.
Yes, first thing I want them to know is I'm a creative. I think to be honest, like as an artist, like I hold it so dear to my heart that like I think like on first time I'm meeting someone, that's definitely like what I would like tell them, like, yo, I'm a creative. But I won't say it like in a corny way, like in overbearing, like, yo, I'm a creative, you have to go listen to my music, anything like that. It's just something that like I like people to know, because like I feel like, in this continent, like I've said it before. I think I remember bad conversations about this, where it's like, sometimes it feels like when you say you're a rapper, it's like saying you've got an imaginary friend. So like I really want.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like it's like you have an imaginary friend, and sometimes like I just want to get it out of the way from the beginning, like that, yo, this is where I stand, because it took me a long time to get to a point where I'm comfortable enough in my own skin to say that, yo, I'm a creative. I make music. I do a little bit of design and stuff like that. For me, because coming up, it was sort of like something that was not taboo or something like that, but like it didn't seem as cool. Like in my head.
I mean, like for our generation, music is something that's for Zimbabwean generation, of our generation.
Yeah.
Music is something that's only like really taking shape now.
Yeah.
So I can imagine trying to do it back then.
Can you imagine?
On a scale that people are doing it today.
It's
very different.
Yeah. But just to answer to that, I remember like when I was like in Form 2 at Prince Edward, I was like, I used to be a sporty person, like especially in primary school and stuff like that. I used to do the rugbies and stuff like that, and then for some reason there was just a sudden shift. Oh, the ants want to be part of the interview too.
Yeah, love ants.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I used to be like a really sporty person, and then like there was just a sudden shift when I was like in Form 2, and I started hanging out with a certain crew, and like we used to be. Back then I was like a geek, like I was like super geeky. I was like into, for some reason, like I don't know, I was just like into tech and stuff like that. So I was in a group of friends who were always like into tech. Like when Twitter started up, they were the first ones doing accounts and stuff like that. So eventually what happened was I got this software called I think I'm forgetting the name, but it was an animation software. And here I was thinking like, yo, I could be the next Pixar, you know, I could be the next Pixar in Zoom and stuff. And I go for like a good week trying to cram this whole animation stuff. Ends up being like totally like terrible. I can't even make a bowl spin or anything like that. And in the same, like on the same flash that I got, there was this little install file that said Fruity Loops, right? I was like, what is this Fruity Loops thing, right? And a friend of mine had been messing around with it. I was 14, like 13, 14. Yeah.
That's Form 1, Form 2.
Form 1, Form 2, yeah, Form 2, I think, yeah. And I remember I installed it, and I think it was Fruity Loops 3 or 4, and I installed it, right? And then it was just a hobby. Like I was just like, yo, I'm just gonna do this like for fun, like. Because I remember like when I was a kid, I got this little like piano type thing, and I used to like always jam out like these little tunes, and I'd be like, yo, maybe on the off chance, maybe I could become an artist one day. But it was just something I was just saying like to myself. But then, yeah, as fate would have it, I stumbled upon Fruity Loops, and I started messing around with it, and I was making like terrible music. The first time you get something, like even your first toy or whatever, it's like it's gonna be the first days. It's just gonna be fun before you can actually give it some form. So as time progressed, I was practicing, just playing around with it. Plus, to my own advantage. Like I did not have a social life, so it was pretty much get to school, come home, mess around with Fruity Loops, and yeah, pretty much that was it. Like I wasn't out having sports or anything like that. On the girls' side, things were like terrible. So it was like, okay, this Fruity Loops thing is the way to go. So as time moves on, I started visiting like studios, like just like there was a studio that was just in the neighborhood, and it was run by this guy called OP On Point. At that point in time, I thought that was the most amazing name.
It's still relevant today.
OP On Point. And I went over to his cabins, and he was doing it like for real. At that point in time, he was trying to make it work, and
was he older than you?
Yeah, he was way older. He was like, I think he was like my age. He was like 20, 23, 24, I don't know. And I was like 14, and so I just go there, and I'd watch him work, man. And he was using Fruity Loops too, and like the stuff that he was doing was at such a high level that I was just like, so it's possible. You can actually do something amazing with the software. So fast forward, like I'm watching him do his thing, and then I'm taking little tidbits and going home and then trying to recreate some of the stuff he's doing using samples and stuff like that. And I can say the first time I felt like I could do this for real was this one time I got this song by One Republic, like, oh, the right moves, that song. And like I dragged it into Fruity Loops, chopped it up, and like I made a beat off of that. And like I was so over the moon that I was like, I remember going over to my friend's house. I was like, dude, Kanye needs to sign me now. Like I am legit, bruh. Like I got a Grammy thing. Because one of the things about me is like, I don't know, ever since like I was a kid, like I like being number one. Like I like being the guy. Like I always try and picture myself as the best version of what I can be. So like even early on when I'm trying out something, I'm always like thinking of what's the highest form of excellence I can come up with in this thing. So like back then I was really thinking like, yo, I need to get a Grammy. I need to do this for real.
And this is still in Form 2.
Yeah, this is Form 2. Oh, actually this is now Form 3. Okay. Yeah, this is Form 3. And yeah, and then my homie was like, oh, this is dope, this is cool. But then he obviously died out quick because it wasn't obviously that amazing. I was just a lighty at all. And I remember, yeah, I started doing it. Then at school, someone challenged the whole class to a rap battle. I was not a rapper at that point in time. I was just like,
you were still chopping up beats.
Exactly, I was just chopping up beats. And I remember I wrote a verse, and I took it to school. And I was gonna, I literally, the thing is, I was just, at that point in time, I was like really kind of shy, so I didn't want to put myself out there like that. But I had this verse, and I remember like I dropped it on the floor, right? And I didn't want to pick it up because now everyone was looking. I was like, no, it's not mine at all. And then the guy who challenged everyone picks it up and goes like, who wrote this? and I kept quiet, and I kept quiet, and ever since then, like I've been on a mission. Like that was like a chip on my shoulder. Like for that moment, like for me, it's like a driving force. Like I never want to feel that way again. So like I left the bars there, and like nothing came of it. And I was like, you know, I'm just gonna leave it like that. And
did you put a lot of effort?
I put dude, it was like a whole night, man. I was writing, man. I was like, yo, I'm gonna destroy this guy like this. And he was kind of a douchey person, so I was just like, yo, man, this is gonna be a victory for us geeks and all that. You know, that's what I was thinking about. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out. I was just too nervous to do it. And so I think at that point in time, I kind of chilled. And started focusing a bit more on school and stuff, and you know, like O levels were coming up, and that was a big deal at that time. So like,
still is a big deal.
It's still yes, to all kids out there, make sure you study hard. Still is a big deal. It is a big deal. And I was like, so I kind of chilled, and then eventually what happened was, at that point in time, rap became something that was just like cool, high school rap. Like there was this whole movement, like, because of all these events like Mr. and Miss Interact and stuff like that, organized by all these like high schools, people going to perform, and it was now like the swaggy thing to do. So I was chilled, and then I came across like a song that like mind blew me. Like at that point in time, like I sort of kind of didn't have any like faith in like Zim music. Like I won't play like like I've always been like rooting for the genre and stuff. Like at that point in time, I was just like, nah, you know, Zim music doesn't work that well and stuff like that. But then these guys from St. George's, they released a song called Moochie. And it was like that, the sample, and it just sounded like the pinnacle of like, it was just so swaggy. It was like such a big song. Like, it felt like something that you'd hear from America or something like that. And it was coming from like these guys from St. George's, and I was just like, and you know, at that point in time, St. George's was like our rival school, you know, and it's always been like that, like PE Saints type thing. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Like these guys made this song, and that's when like I started getting like, that was like my first hit of the drug. Like it was just like, yo, like all the right moves moment was cool, but this moment was like, yo.
And this is years later.
I'm like, yo, this is insane. Like these guys made the song, and then as time went on, I started meeting other like high school rappers and stuff like that. And then in my circle, I met a rapper, this guy called George, and this George guy, he used to do rap battles at break time, man. And like he'd be like on the benches there, like out in front of the rugby field, like everyone's around him. He's going like that. And I remember this one bar, he's battling this guy called Chronic, right? He's like, if you got beef, then I'll just bite it like a burger. And for some reason, like I don't know, like it was like, oh, like he said that. He's like, I was like, oh my god, like this dude's got bars, right? Yeah. And at that point in time, you know, like I was just like these, like his understudy. I was just like, yo, fam, like, how do you do that? How do you even write bars? How do you do this? And he's like, yo, fam, you can do it. You can do it yourself. I mean, like you make beats and stuff like that. Like let's work together. You know, he was such a free spirit, and he was like, he believed in himself so much. Like, and he was like on another level of rap. Like he was like incredible. And I was like, and I used to look at him like, you know, this dude can just blow up. You know, he can just blow up. And then he had so much faith in me. He'd invite me over, and he'd be like, yo, fam, come with your laptop, and we'll make some tracks and stuff like that, and we'll make some beats. And you know, like the thing is, he had this musical ear. Like he wasn't necessarily a producer, but he knew how to pick sounds and stuff like that. And I would like look at it, I'd be like, this dude, like he's incredible, you know. And when I hit Form 4, one of my other friends, one of my close friends, a childhood friend who I grew up with, the one who I actually played all the right moves that time, he was at St. George's, and he actually had a performance at Mr. and Miss Interact. And like just the preparation, the whole vibe.
Was this in Form 4? You guys were now older.
Yeah, because he's 1 year older than me, so he was like lower 6, and like I was now like on my whole break, something like that. The timing gets fuzzy, and I'm so young. I shouldn't be forgetting stuff like this. Anyway, he went and he performed at Mr. and Miss Interact, and he was just telling me about the whole vibe, like girls and stuff like that. And I was just like, dude, like this happens. Like, you know, for me it was like such a culture shock. So I then realized that, okay, this could be cool. And then I started writing my own bars at that break. And then that's when Form 4, I can say that's when I kind of broke out of the mold of like the whole geeky thing and stuff like that. I started getting out there, dating and stuff like that. So now the material was now coming. Like, it was like, okay,
you know, something to sing.
Exactly. Now I could actually put something on paper and go like, okay, I can talk about this situation. I can talk about that situation.
Some Drake, J. Cole, storytelling.
Yeah, but actually, to be honest, it's actually funny that you bring that up. I was actually more of a Drake because all my songs were all about women and heartbreak and stuff like that. She'd always be like, oh, this girl, man, she's so terrible. She did this to me. But then also like my influences, like, because back then, like, wait, let me just take it back a little bit. Like when I was in primary school, I never used to listen to hip hop at all. Like I didn't get a chance to listen to hip hop. We used to just listen to like Christian rock and stuff like that, like MCS. I was actually like super into like like the praise and worship stuff and stuff like that.
That's when Hillsong was popping.
Exactly, that's when Hillsong was popping. I don't know if we can say Hillsong was popping, but I like that. Hillsong was popping. Hillsong was popping, and so then, like, just when I went into high school, my friend is the one who introduced me to hip hop, and the first person I listened to was Lil Wayne. And we know Lil Wayne's content, right? He's talking about, you know, women and stuff like that, derogatory terms. Look at me, being so nice, derogatory terms. Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's talking about women and stuff like that. So I was introduced to Lil Wayne, and then I was introduced to my favorite rapper of all time, Mr. Kanye West. Kanye. And pretty much that's how those influenced like my early patterns of how I used to write bars and how I still write bars.
I think if I can just jump in here.
Yeah.
I think Lil Wayne and Kanye, having those as like the people you're trying to shout, because between them they have historical bars.
Yes,
between the two.
Yes.
Lil Wayne drops bars, Kanye
he drops bars. Yeah.
I think it was a good move.
It was a good move, isn't it? Yeah. And but then I think what happened, like, obviously, like with your first lines, man, I was just talking like I was just the coolest person on the planet, man. I was just like, yo, then I take your girl and I do this to her, and you know, because you know I'm in high school and I'm popping like that. You know? So like those are the first early bars. I remember I did this song called Not Again. That was like my first song. Like it was like, yeah, like he does this. So like that's the first song I distributed to people. So pretty much it was like me on a chorus just going like, not again. I have no idea why he was saying why it's called Not Again. What was I saying Not Again to? I really don't remember. But I remember I sampled Kerry Hilson from what's that song which is like When Love Knocks You Down?
Kanye.
With Kanye, exactly.
Kanye and there's another guy.
Yeah, there was someone else who was on that. Neil, was it Neil?
Neil.
Yeah, it was Neil. And then it's like, you know when it's starting, when she goes like, oh, this can't be happening to me.
Not again.
Not again, exactly. So that's when I sampled that, and then I started dropping the bars. And then people were like, okay, this is cool. This is kind of cool. And there was a chick I was trying to impress at that point in time. And yeah, it sort of kind of worked, but hey, it didn't really work. It kind of tanked too. So, you know, that's a good story. So I did Not Again. Then I did this other like 16 bar cipher or something like that. I wrote another 16 bars. And they were cool. And this is just me in my room with like those Intex headphones, man. And I'm just like, they're going, not again. Don't disturb me, I'm in a session. You know, like I'm telling people at home, like, don't disturb me, I'm in a session. And yeah, after that, and this is all from the inspiration I got from that Moochie song. I was like, yo, I need to make my own like hits.
This was in the same year.
Yeah, this is the same year. This is yeah, I was low 16.
All the motivation was still.
Yeah, all the motivation was still there, exactly. And it was just a wild year because that's when I really broke out of my shell. I started going to parties and stuff like that. And like, it was just so like I had so much to rap about because like I remember like my first party, man. I was wearing all sorts of nonsense, man. Like I had like a blazer, I had like a t-shirt, I had a shirt. Like I was very overdressed, man. Because like for me it was like culture shock, and you know I was like, I'm a rapper, man. Like I have to look cool.
This is still baggy jeans, Soldier Boy kind of.
Exactly, baggy jeans. I had baggy jeans, man. I had this huge Air Force. Like it was just ridiculous, man. Air Force Ones, you know. And then I remember that first party was at this place called Numero Uno, right? And it was like a V dance after party, man. And I remember getting there, and like for me that was the first time I had experienced the nightlife. Dude, like I was just like, it was just like culture shock central. I was like, wow. I didn't know girls can dance like this. I didn't know girls can dance on me.
Alright, I think on that bombshell, let's take a break.
Let's take a break. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. After that, so through all of this, I started getting like more stuff to write about, and then I befriended a guy who was also a producer at that point in time, and we were sort of partners in crime. So it was just easy, and I'll just be learning from him and just like progressing like that. And I think that pretty much covers the high school chapter. There was nothing like super major that like happened in high school. Like it was just like that was just like developing my love for the craft.